Whether it's for hunting, target shooting, or home defense, millions of everyday Americans own guns. Doesn't matter whether you're a potential gun buyer, first-time owner, or an old-timer who might relearn a good habit or two. A refresher on handling yourself around a gun and the gun around others is the smartest way to start every new season. We'll be looking at a wide range of topics. Buying a gun, women, kids, and guns, ammunition, basic rules of safety, hunting safety, home defense, transporting a gun, and most importantly, the Bible of firearms. By recurrent review, you will increase your safety awareness and contribute to the safety awareness and gun savvy of others. Keep in mind two key elements in buying your gun. Be it a shotgun or rifle. Make sure you know what the gun is intended to be used for and know up front what you can afford to spend. And what about looks? My daddy used to say, just because she's pretty, that doesn't mean she's perfect. The most important guideline for buying a rifle or a shotgun, especially a first one, is to have a good sense of what you want the gun to do. Hunting? Well, what are you hunting? Big game? Migratory waterfowl, upland game birds, varmints? Knowing this will help you determine the kind of gun and the load. For the uninitiated, this is a shotgun. Shotguns come in a variety of configurations. The single barrel, side by side, double barrel, and over and under. The slide action or pump, and the autoloader. These come in various gauges. The most popular Americans are the 12, 20, and the 410. The larger 12 gauge has more recoil than the other gauges. It fires a larger shell with more power, and that delivers more pellets toward your target. The 410 is more of a specialist gun. It's light shooting, yet tough on targets. Now, the 20 gauge is a good starter gun, especially for a woman and youngsters. It's a soft shooter without much recoil, and it definitely breaks targets. If it's trapper skeet you're after, then you'd probably be looking for a 12 gauge pump with a ventilated rib like this. The rib floats on top of the barrel and dissipates the heat. It helps keep your head down and your eye on the target. Plus, you get quick target alignment. Once you've decided on the gauge, then you need to match the right choke and load to whatever you'll be using the shotgun for. A choke is a small metal tube like these that fit up in the muzzle of a shotgun. The choke tapers down the interior of the barrel so that the diameter of the muzzle is reduced. This way, your shot spread is modified into a tighter cluster. There are a variety of chokes in use in the United States today. The tightest pattern is thrown by the extra full choke. A more popular and almost as concentrated constrictor is the full choke. Then comes the modified, the improved choke, the skeet choke, and finally the cylinder bore choke. As a point of reference, the full choke throws the densest pattern of the common chokes. It can reach out effectively up to 40 to 45 yards. Now, if you happen to be in the market for a rifle, I know just the spot. Without a doubt, that's one of my favorites. A .22 rimfire, small caliber and a light projectile. And it can send a bullet almost into the next county. When you fire a .22 in the field, know where you are and know what's downrange. A .22 has a long carry, up to a mile, and it can do serious damage even at that distance. A .22 is a good starter rifle for the youngster. Lightweight, easy to bring into action, and no real discernible recoil. It's basically a small game gun for rabbits and squirrels. You notice that scopes are going on every caliber these days. The 270, both ideal for deer or sighting on a Colorado antelope. And that is definitely working at a long distance. With any of these long distance rifles, you want a cartridge that explodes out of the muzzle at no less than 3,000 feet per second. .30-06 won't let you down. Whether you're stomping around in some Montana highlands for mule deer or some Kansas flatland for whitetail, you're working at a distance. So you're loading fast-moving, trajectory-holding rounds. That's devastating power. And those are Magnum loads they're using. These big fellas are built to bring down an elk, bear, or moose. If you need instruction in firing your first gun, start by reading your gun owner's manual. Then, call a gun range, if one's in your area. They generally have demonstrators on hand, so you can get a feel for the kind of gun you want to buy. The range will have trained professionals who will teach you the proper operation of the gun, stance, grip, sighting, trigger pull, and safety tips. A lot of reputable gun dealers can provide much of this for you. You could also contact the National Rifle Association's Education and Training Division for the name of an NRA certified instructor in your community. You can also get expert advice from your local Wildlife Federation and your state game commission. Read up on it. Your library has some great outdoor magazines and books. When looking for a gun, you might consider a used one. I've got some definite thoughts on that too. Don't haul out Grandpa's long-lost blunderbuss or anybody else's stored gun, load it up and expect to fire it. You have no idea what damage the years have done or why it was put away in the first place. Have a gunsmith inspect any aged, antique, or long unused gun before you start squeezing some strange trigger. That's a real good way for you and some piece of your anatomy to subtly part company. The final consideration for buying a used gun is to deal only with reputable gun stores. They generally have gunsmiths on site, or they send out previously owned guns to be reconditioned before they put them out for sale. Now that you've got your gun, what about the rest of the family? With some solid background, you should then visit several reputable gun dealers. After a few stops, you should have a real sense of what's available. And once you find what you like, make sure that the gun feels right. It balances well, operates simply, and that it fits your body. Then call your range, gun club, or make arrangements with the gun dealer to test fire the gun. It's great to see a youngster set up just right, and with the right attitude and expectations. There's several keys to helping your youngster enjoy the sport. First, it's the right gun. For me, it'd have to be a pump action 20 gauge. Not much recoil, fairly soft shooting. And with a single barrel, each shot is carefully measured and valued. The 20 gauge is an excellent woman's gun too. The second thing to deal with is patience. You can't overemphasize the head when it comes to teaching the body. There's a whole system of values and concerns that parents need to impart to his youngster as part of the rights of carrying a gun, taking the responsibility of firing it at the game target, and restricting the firing to a safe practice. As he grows, his gun can grow with him. Start him out with a barrel that's long enough to do the job and still easy enough for him to bring into action. Then match the buttstock to your youngster's size. You might want to pad the stock as a starter. The key here, from muzzle to butt, is comfort. Make sure the gun fits him now. Tomorrow will take care of itself. Once you've matched the style of gun to your likes, single barrel, double, pump, or auto, and you've figured out the gauge, plus sized a barrel length that suits the purpose of the gun, then comes the right shell. You can pick these up in 2 3/4 and 3-inch standard loads, plus 3-inch magnums. For now, we'll concentrate on the standard loads. Whatever ammo you choose, be sure it conforms to the markings on the barrel. For shell diameter, which will match your gauge, and for shell length. You'll be surprised just how far these little beauties can travel. With a shotgun, you generally think in terms of 35 to 50 yards for ideal target distance, but these double-aught have a potential reach of over 600 yards. Number 2 can get over 330 yards. Number 6, about 270 yards. And even number 9 has a carry of over 200 yards. It's important to match the right load to the game you're going after. Normally, I use double-aught buck on 4-legged predators. In 12 gauge, the double-aught throws 9 .33 caliber balls a good distance, with a lot of wallop. The number 1 buck and number 2 bird are fine for predators. The number 4 shot works real well for ducks, geese, pheasants, rabbits, squirrels, wild turkey, also predators. The number 5s handle pheasants, rabbits, crows, squirrels, and the elusive duck. Use the number 6 for ducks, pheasants, grouse, Hungarian partridge, rabbits, squirrels, wild turkey, and crows. The 7.5 shot can be loaded for a wide range of quarry. Pheasants, quail, grouse, chucker, partridge, doves, woodcock, snipe, rail, crows, and it's the standard trap shell. Number 8 and the number 9 shot works fine for quail, grouse, Hungarian chucker, doves, woodcock, snipe, and rail. These are slugs, actually heavy deer slugs. In those states which allow it, some hunters prefer hunting deer with these. When you're handling a gun for any reason, you have one primary responsibility. Treat every gun as if it's loaded. So make certain there's not a round in the chamber or magazine. Then you can make sure to avoid any accidents by being aware of your muzzle direction at all times. And if somebody sweeps you with a gun, let them know about it. You're not only helping yourself, but maybe somebody else down the line. If you take away only one thing from the time we spend together on this video, make sure it's this. Don't ever assume any gun is unloaded. Yours, your buddies, any gun. Unloaded guns always seem to have a way of somehow being loaded. Most smart hunters make a point of starting each season by sighting in their guns. A range or a gun club is a safe controlled area where you can work your scope into pinpoint shape and dust a little rust off your own form. At the gun range, the range master is the undisputed boss. When he shouts cease firing, you cease. End of discussion. And then, what should you do? 1, open the bolt or break the gun. 2, remove any shells from the chamber and pop out the clip. 3, lay your gun visibly unloaded on your gun rug, muzzle down range. 4, step back of the firing line. Whatever you do, don't pick up your gun until the range master declares the range open again. If you break the range rules, the range master may send you home for the day. If you really push it, he may ban you permanently. There's many forms of safety you can help yourself with. One important aid is ear protection. Now, some old timers think ear protection means you put your hands over your ears when the little woman advises you on some finer points of running your life. Others figure ear protection isn't for real men. Just talk real low around a couple of old-time shooters next time. The one that says, huh? Well, he's the one who didn't wear any ear protection. The shame is, that's not a joke. So wherever there's a gun going off, you be the one putting these on. And if it's muffs you like, get a good fitting pair with an NRR of at least 20. Protecting your eyes goes right along with any common sense safety. Normally, where a shotgun's concerned, shooting glasses are used, especially in skeet and trap. Not so much for the rapid release of the gases, but for a blown primer that can shower particles back into the shooter's face, and certainly flying bits of clay birds or holes. I don't take chances, not even in the field. A ricochet could send a piece of tree bark or a sliver of rock back at your eye at lightning speed. You wouldn't have time to react. Your primary concern is safety. Then comes fit, comfort, color, and finally looks. You're outdoors because it's a great place to be. And hunting is a great sport, especially if you build it around a good sense of gun safety. If you're field hunting in a group, say 3 of you, then decide who takes what position. That'll save a lot of problems down the line. Where you are in line determines your muzzle direction and your field of fire. Now the man on the left, he cradles his gun to the left and he takes all the birds to the left. The man on the right cradles his gun out, and he has any birds on his right. The man in the middle fires straight ahead. He also cradles his gun muzzle down and forward. Now, that's a pretty safe and fair arrangement. As the day goes on, switch positions. Let's take a look at your safe field of fire again. Man on the left, muzzle to the left, fire to the left. Man on the right, muzzle to the right, fire to the right. Man in the middle, muzzle down and forward. Fire straight ahead and up and over. Now, if you're running a dog, make certain he doesn't run into your line of fire. A sure way to keep a control on yourself and build a very good hunting habit is always keep your gun on safety. And don't take it off until you're ready to fire. Stay behind your dog and limit your shooting to a clearly defined target. Sometimes, when the terrain dictates, you work the woods single file. The point man travels with his muzzle cradled to the left or right. His field of fire is ahead and over. Middle man keeps his muzzle pointed to the right and fires to the right. Tail man controls his muzzle to the left and takes shots on his left and behind. If there's 4 of you, third man takes left and the tail man takes behind. If you happen to be out alone, the main rule is to keep the muzzle away from your body at all times. When you come to a fence, don't cross unless you have permission. You don't know if somebody else is hunting over there. Plus, if it's not your property, you don't have any business on it anyhow. The only way to cross a fence or any obstacle is to unload both the chamber and the magazine. Keep the action open, then pass it with the muzzle pointed in a safe direction. With a lot of people moving around, to me, the safest direction is muzzle up, pointing to the sky. Give your gun to the man behind you, then you cross the obstacle and have him pass the gun to you, muzzle up. If you're out by yourself, you still follow the basic rules. Unload both the chamber and the magazine and leave it open. Then cross the obstacle. Then retrieve your gun with the muzzle pointing up and away from your body. Okay. When you finally do get that chance to shoot, make certain and mark a clearly defined target. I can't stress that enough. And secondly, leave your gun on safety until the moment you're ready to fire. When you fire off that last round, the birds are still within easy reach. It's easy to grab anything from your pocket that looks or feels like the right shell, and that could spell trouble. It's not that difficult to put the wrong shell in the chamber. So there's one rule that you should keep in mind. Carry only 1 gauge shell or rifle cartridge. Don't mix your rounds. You ask why all the fuss over which shell's in the chamber? It's pretty simple. If an undersized shell jams in the chamber and you don't realize it, and the correct shell is fired next, there could be a serious consequence, the least of which could be ruining your gun. The rule's clear here. Don't go into the field with mixed rounds. In a blind, you keep your barrel pointed in the air like this, away from everybody. Definitely keep your safety on until you're ready to shoot. You increase your safety by knowing and following all the hunting laws. It's something you expect each other to do. If you're handling yourself according to the rules and some fellow in your group isn't, there's going to be a problem. Don't let it be yours. Tell them to straighten up. Federal migratory hunting laws require a plug in the shotgun to reduce the number of rounds to 3. Know your federal and state hunting laws. Game wardens get real serious about that, and I don't blame them. If you want to be part of this great sport, play by the rules. It's real easy to get a little mud or water up in the barrel in a blind. If you do, clean it immediately. This may sound dumb, but don't look up the barrel to see if you have any dirt or mud in it. No matter what you've done in the past, take the time to break the gun down. Just remove the barrel and clean it. Water doesn't compress. If you have even a single drop up in there, and you fire off a round, you could easily ring your barrel. I have a rule that ensures safety in the blind. I never fire until I can see the sky between the bird and me. It's my blue sky rule. If he's far enough up and no one's in my line of sight, then I slide off my safety and fire a round or two, but only when I see the sky. Oh, here they come in. I always like to clean my gun in the field. This way I don't put it off and the dirt and grease don't have time to do any damage. You notice that the first thing he did before cleaning was to unload his gun and chamber the magazine. Even if you don't carry your complete cleaning kit, slip a well-oiled rag into a plastic bag and stick it in your pocket. Remember to unload first, then wipe down the barrel, all the metal parts. Be sure the fingerprints are off. Use a collapsible rod and run a swab through the barrel to remove any residue. It helps keep me safe. It's estimated that nearly half the homes in the United States are armed against criminal threat. Nearly everyone has considered what they would do if someone broke into their home and presented a threat. Your right to protect yourself and your loved ones against criminal harm or lethal attack vary considerably with the governing laws of each country or state. In the United States, many Americans have too little understanding of their legal position and the rights of defense of lethal force. Have you, as a homeowner, given any forethought to a wise method of conduct if faced with that real threat? Because of the multiple issues of legality and individual government and state laws concerning the use of defensive lethal force, we'll focus on the safety aspects of keeping a firearm in your home. I strongly suggest the need for you to explore your government, state, or your county's legal position on the use of lethal force under the circumstance of an intruder in your home. That is your responsibility as the owner of a firearm. Your local gun shop stocking, sporting, or hunting firearms should also have several fine books addressing the issue. Often, the range master at your gun range will be knowledgeable regarding the subject and may even be offering a course on home defense tactics and the laws that govern them. Protecting yourself and your loved ones. Your best home defense is your mind. Construct a plan with your family. Then consider all the elements that might go into the ultimate act on your part. Using lethal force is an absolute last resort in protection of your life and your loved ones. One element is choosing the right gun. No one's home right now, and all of these guns are for example only. They're unloaded. Normally they're kept under lock. A high-powered rifle like this is built for long-range accuracy. Handling this or any other rifle is a little difficult in close quarters of a home. It's a little awkward, as you can see. Unless you're trained with a handgun, a shotgun is going to be the most effective firearm you can use in defense of your home. The problem with only 2 barrels is pretty obvious, only 2 shots. Sometimes intruders come in pairs or more. The 12 gauge pump with a minimum of 5 shots. The great thing about a shotgun in a tight situation, you only have to point it. A number 4 shell has plenty of shot and a wide enough spread at 15 to 20 feet, especially if you're using a 20-inch barrel. Now, as I said earlier, the main objective of home defense is to avoid any type of confrontation. Using something this powerful must be a last resort. You'll hear all kinds of opinions on what to use to protect yourself, especially in the way of a load. Some folks think the bigger the load, the bigger the defense. You take double-aught buck, for instance. Sure, you fired at an intruder and you do hit him. Odds are he'll stay down. But in the process of using such overkill in small confined space, your overloaded buck is liable to tear right through the sheetrock, split through the insulation, and hurt someone you're trying to protect. Stray shots fired for the best of intentions could kill. If you're going to keep a gun at home, then you need to deal with 2 additional concerns. How to immobilize the gun to avoid its finding its way into the hands of a child or any other inexperienced handler of guns. And secondly, how to keep your home defense gun handy at night and still childproof it. When not in use, your rifles and shotguns should be under lock. And one of the most popular is a trigger lock, like this. And it's in 2 pieces, and it simply inserts in the trigger guard area, like that. There's one other very interesting method of childproofing, maybe even burglar-proofing. Fort Knox. You can stand your guns up in here or put the pistols on the shelf like these. Some of these hold up to 56 guns. Fireproof, and for ultimate safety, they have a triple relocking system. Nobody's gonna be able to pick this baby up. At least nobody I know. Some folks like to keep a gun handy in the bedroom for home defense. Everybody has a different idea on where to keep it at night so that it's relatively handy. That one, I leave to each person's own discretion, with one thought. Wherever you put it, think safety. When you transport your gun, even though it's only for hunting, there are certain laws that cover it. They vary from state to state. What I do, just to stay on the safe side, is to make certain my gun is unloaded. Safety is on, and if I don't have my case, I open the action, then I separate the gun from the ammo. It's a good rule, too, if you separate you and the gun by as much distance as possible. If your vehicle has a trunk, store your gun and ammo there. Gun on one side, in its case, and the ammo boxed on the other. Always double check that your chamber and magazine are unloaded. Then, lock your gun case. If you case your gun and box your ammo, chances are you'll keep grit and dust out. Plus, avoid scratches on your gun. Check your local law. It certainly doesn't hurt to be extra careful not to break the law. And extra safe not to cause yourself or anybody else any problems. On the safe and careful side, too, leaving a gun in the car as your car gun doesn't make real good sense. If it's in the car, then it better be like mine is, locked off in the trunk unloaded. Otherwise, you could be breaking the law. Plus, leaving a gun in the car is a good way to accumulate grit and dirt. Your car could be broken into or stolen. Now your gun's in somebody else's hands. There are also times you might need to transport your gun on board an airplane. Now, lock your gun in a hard case, unload it, and ship the ammo separately. Notify the airline that you're shipping the gun. It goes with your stored baggage, not in your carry-on. Check with the airline before you go to the airport to make certain of any other restrictions. Also, if you're taking your gun out of the country, check with our government and the embassy of the country you're going to. Laws vary from country to country, and one thing you can take to the bank is our law does not apply in any foreign country. Be informed, and you'll stay out of trouble's way. Like I said earlier, Safe for You is what this video is all about. A good way to remind yourself and pass safety on to others is to follow the Bible of firearm safety and some common sense when handling a gun. Number one, always point the muzzle in a safe direction. Number two, keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to shoot. And third common sense rule is to keep the action open and your gun unloaded until you're ready to use it. Fourthly, whenever you pick up any gun, immediately open the action and check to be certain that the chamber is unloaded. You have to treat every gun as though it were loaded. And when you're shooting a gun, number one rule is know how to operate the gun. Next, be sure your gun and ammo are compatible. Most guns have the cartridge or shell type stamped on the barrel, so use only ammo designed for that particular gun. The third rule for shooting is carry only one gauge or caliber of ammo. So when you're finished for the day, you clean your pockets out of ammo so you won't get them mixed up with others the next time you go shooting. Next, be sure of your target that is clearly defined and know what's beyond it. And if you do see people, never fire in that direction. Think first, shoot second. Always wear ear and eye protection. Alcohol and drugs don't mix with guns, and they sure don't mix with thinking. Also, different circumstances dictate additional rules that may be unique to a situation. Club rules, or even things you may encounter in the field. Just keep safety foremost in your mind. And the last two fine points are keep all guns in clean and working order, and never leave a firearm, any kind of firearm, where unauthorized hands, and especially children, may find it. Well, there you have it. We've covered a lot of ground and hopefully made life safer for all of us. I wish you and yours safe hunting and good shooting. Take care. Come on, Tara, let's find some birds.